YouTube
Hi,
stream.
my name is Richard Riley. I would like to call the zoning board meeting to order tonight at 7 p.m., March 10th, 2021. Let's just do a quick roll call. I'm Richard Riley.
John Devereaux.
Al Gilbo.
Do we have any members of the zoning board on the dialing in or calling in tonight remotely? I didn't think so, but there's a couple numbers, so I wanted to make sure I didn't recognize the numbers. So we have on our agenda this evening are two cases, case 2021-03 and case 2021-04. We will hear them in that order based on the way that they came in. The zoning board typically has 5 members. That would be a full board to hear these cases. This evening, we just have 3 board members present. By law, you are required to get at least 3 zoning board members to agree to your request for variance or relief, whether it's a special exception or variance. So in this case, where you've only got 3 members, you would need all 3 members to be able to vote in favor in order to get approved. Also by law, you have the right, since we do not have a full quorum, to request a postponement, at which point I would postpone until next month, our next regular meeting scheduled date, which would be the second Wednesday of April. I would certainly make the same effort that I made this evening to try to get 5 members here, but there's no guarantee that we can do that. So with that, and I say that, you know, I understand the challenges associated with scheduling. And I apologize for only having 3 members here tonight. We are a volunteer board. So we definitely do the best we can. I will ask our first case, 2021-03. Let me read what that is first. This is 2021-03. The applicant is Thoreau Properties LLC. The owner of the properties is Thoreau Development LLC. They are seeking a special exception from Litchfield zoning ordinance section 1208 to impact 27,200 square foot of no disturb buffer to wetlands in order to gain access to the back of the property and to accommodate the proposed stormwater management areas for the intended development project. The location of this property is at 522 Charles Bancroft Highway, here in Litchfield, map 22, lot 11. Now, I believe we have the applicant or representation for the applicant here. Would that be correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My name is Morgan Hollis. I'm an attorney in Nashua, New Hampshire, Gottesman and Hollis, 39 East Pearl Street. And I'm here representing the owner and the applicant. And the representative of the owner and the applicant are here along with the project engineer and project scientist. We've talked offline, and although we think we have an excellent, compelling case, we would like to postpone and at least take a shot at getting 4 members. So if that's all right with the chair, we would request a postponement to your next meeting.
Perfectly understandable. Again, I want to apologize for the lack of, attendance here this evening. I will ask if there is a motion to postpone case 2021-03 to our next scheduled hearing, which would be April. I don't have the date in front of me, but it would be the second Wednesday of April.
I'll make that motion.
So I have a motion from John.
I'll second.
I have seconding. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. So just to be clarified, there's a motion on the table to postpone case 2021-03 to the second Wednesday of April, which would be 7 p.m. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, guys, I didn't know until now whether I was going to have enough attendance.
No problem, Mr. Chairman. I thank you very much for everything. This will give you all a chance to take a good look at the application, which had a number of pages anyway. So I appreciate your patience, and we'll see you next month.
Very good, guys. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Wednesday's the 14th.
14th, okay.
14th, yeah, date certain to the
14th.
14th.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, let me put this away. I'll lose all my paperwork.
We don't have Tom or anybody right now?
What's that?
We don't have Tom or anybody?
I didn't get a reply, but I know Tom's got a busy schedule. He actually, when I asked him if he would renew, he said, you know, it's not that available, but he allowed me to put his name on the list as an alternate. So, yeah, we're still challenged with that. All right, next on the agenda is
So how much is that buffer is 22? I mean, how much is this, is an acre of land? Do you remember how many square feet?
40,000 square feet.
It's 40 something, right?
That's quite a bit, that's quite a bit of impact.
It's about half an acre.
All right, so next on the agenda is case number 2021-04. The name of the applicant is John Kennedy, which is also the owner. The location of the property is 50 Pilgrim Drive, Litchfield, New Hampshire, map 8, lot 28. The applicant is seeking a variance from applicant is seeking a variance from Litchfield zoning ordinance section 310 to allow construction of a one-story attached garage that will encroach 3 foot into the side setback requirement of 20 feet. Now, do we have Mr. Kennedy or anyone else on the line that is representing the applicant this evening?
Yes, I am John Kennedy.
All right, good evening, Mr. Kennedy, and thank you for
Good
joining
evening.
us. Were
Thank
you,
you.
were you able to hear the explanation as far as, you know, the full member board being 5 members? Tonight we have 3. You'd be required to get all 3 members to agree to the application. You do have the right to request a continuance so that we would put this on the schedule for April 14th, at which point we would hope to have, you know, preferably all 5 members present, but maybe you end up with 4, maybe you end up with 3. Again, you know, I explained it's a volunteer board. I'm not sure. I do the best. I send out notices, but you know, as a volunteer board, you know, once in a while we do end up in this situation where we just don't have enough members available to do the full quorum. So you would need to make a decision whether you want to proceed with 3 members, in which case we can do that, or you can ask for a postponement until next month. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I feel as though the 3 is fine with me. I would like to proceed.
All right, understood. So we'll just make sure that the record reflects that you have agreed to move forward with the 3-member board. Now, you probably have not done this before.
No, sir.
Most folks have not. So let me just explain a little bit of procedurally what we're going to need you to do, because you know, we need to get everything into the record. So what I'm going to be asking you to do is to address the criteria that you addressed in your written application. So there were 5 points that you had to address, which you did do when you handed in your completed application. So I need you to go through each of those points, and if necessary, I can help walk through or remind you what each of those are. Do you have a copy of your application in front of you that you can refer to?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, very good. So what we would be starting with would be criteria number 1, which it was covered under section 2 for request for variance. Criteria number 1 states the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because, and here if you can explain, and you don't have to read the script if you don't want, you can provide as much background, additional information as you want. You know, obviously the more information, the easier it is for us to make a decision. So with that being said, like I said, you don't have to read from the script, but you're certainly welcome to do that. It's your choice.
Okay, thank you. On my application, I believe I had listed that 6 abutters is on the side of my existing property. There's 1 abutter on the side that would even be affected. It's on the side that faces that's on another house, and that's 48 Pilgrim Drive. My other abutters, and I've spoken to them, and I've spoken to the other abutters. The area is right adjacent to it's going to be attached to my existing dwelling, and it's an area where I park a vehicle already. There's land in between myself and the abutter at 48 Pilgrim. That land actually wooded buffer, and they would not be directed. We're not going to take down any trees in the buffer. We're not going to affect landscape. So that's
Okay.
my answer to that.
Very good. Could you just pause for one moment, please? There was a gentleman here that I believe is one of your butters, and I want to make sure. Yes, please come on in, and if you want to just have a seat at the back of the room, that would be great. So just so you're aware, what we're doing is we're going to take testimony from the applicant first. Sure. We'll ask questions back and forth, and then at some point when we're done, we will open it up for public input. And if you're a member of the public and want to provide input, that's when your opportunity will come up, all right?
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate your patience. So again, Mr. Kennedy, thank you very much. I think that for the time being covers number 1. Now, the second criteria starts out, the spirit of the ordinance is observed because. Do you have, can you cover your response to that, please?
Yes, because my proposed garage is going to be constructed in a manner which is attached to my house. And it's going to blend in with the house. I put additions on before onto my house, and everything. I've always made sure. I've been a resident here for 34 years, and you're right. I'm not familiar with the process, but everything I have ever done to my house has always made everything blends in, and I think that it's going to be substantial, for the area, because it's going to make my dwelling better, and I don't think I'm going to affect anything else other than maybe raising the value of my house, which helps the neighborhood. And I also think that because it blends in, I don't think it's gonna be disappointing to anybody, any of the abutters, and I have spoken to the abutters, and any questions?
All right. Criteria number 3 states substantial justice is done because, and you ever reply to that?
Yeah, I think the justice part of it is I need to park my vehicle inside, and it's especially during the winter time. There's a handicap and safe issue involved here. I need to have my vehicle indoors during the winter months. I had I think it was on my letter that I sent you, but I did have a fall accident getting out of my vehicle in the driveway earlier in the winter, which caused a couple of cracked ribs and a cut elbow. Uh, I've been here for 34 years. My vehicle has never been in a garage, and now it's time for me to be in a garage.
I got it. All right. Do have that letter now that you mention it, so that's good. That's in the record. We're on number 4 now. The values of surrounding properties are not diminished because, and I know you've already addressed this earlier, but if you want to go ahead and just recap again for us, please.
Sure, the proposed garage abuts one abutter, and because of the wooded buffer, it doesn't really affect them. And again, getting back to the fact that it's going to add value to my property, which adds value to my abutters.
Okay. Thank you. And the last one, which is probably the trickiest of them all, I would say anyways, because I've tried to do this once in my past life. This is criteria number 5. Literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship because, and again, I know you replied in the application, so if you want to summarize your response to that, please.
I don't think it goes against the general purpose of the ordinance. I also think that because of the location of my dwelling when it was 34 years ago when it was built, I can't go the other way on my property. I can't go, it's going to be to the south. I can't go to the north because that's where my septic system is, and I can't do that. And I think that because of the handicap issue, I think that necessary.
Gotcha. All right. So I think we've gone through the 5 criteria on the application. I do want to point out, I skipped over this, but I want to point out that I do have a denial letter from the Litchfield Building Department, which states that they reviewed the site plan, which was submitted by the applicant to construct a 16-foot by 30-foot garage on the above referenced property. At this time, I must deny the permit for the following reason. And then it goes on, zoning ordinance section 310 requires it to supply a setback from the side property line of 20 feet. Site plan submitted shows a setback for the foundation of 17 feet. Eave overhang is not shown on the plot plan, so we'll have to talk about that. When and if you receive a variance, you will need to submit detailed building plans. These plans will need to include a foundation detail. Construction cannot start until you have received a building permit. Other items may arise as reviews continue. You have the right to apply for a variance or to appeal this decision. Please use forms supplied by the Litchfield Board of Adjustment. And then it's signed by Peter E. Rowell, interim building inspector for Litchfield, New Hampshire. So we have the requisite denial letter. We do have a letter that the applicant had submitted along with their application. I don't know if I should read this into the record or not, probably, huh? So I have a letter from the applicant which accompanied the application. I will go ahead and read this into the record as well. This is a letter from Mr. Kennedy dated February 10th, 2021. Dear board members, I have been a resident of Litchfield for over 34 years at the same location on Pilgrim Drive. I raised 4 children in this town. My wife and I are proud residents. Through the years, I have upgraded my property and meticulously maintained it. I'm applying for a variance for my property at 50 Pilgrim Drive in Litchfield, New Hampshire. The variance is requested so that I can construct a single-story attached garage to the existing dwelling. The issue at hand is that after a land survey by Jeffrey Land Survey, I became aware that I did not have the 20-foot setback as required by the zoning ordinance. The proposed garage would be 17 feet from the property line. The purpose for the garage is for parking a vehicle, a pickup truck, in parentheses. I have a disability that has been affecting my mobility as years go on. The winter is especially difficult. Clearing snow and ice are a task. I recently suffered a fall on the ice. I need to protect myself. Being able to park my vehicle inside would make a world of difference. I have contacted my abutters, except for one that I was unable to reach. No one objects to the variance. There will be no trees removed, no landscape disrupted, and the garage will match the existing dwelling. The addition will add value to my property, which will pass on to my neighbors. This will not be detrimental to my abutters or the neighborhood, and then it's signed by the applicant. So we've got that read into the record as well. So at this point, now, Mr. Kennedy, I don't know if you can see, I don't know if you're able to watch, but I have shared your plans that were submitted along with your application, as well as the photographs that you submitted with your application as well. So the board members present here this evening has reviewed that material. Just want to let you know that. So right now, I think what I'd like to do is just ask the board if we have any questions for Mr. Kennedy.
So you already actually have a garage. Is that not capable of storing your vehicle?
Yes, sir. I certainly expected this question. I had submitted my application. After we moved into the house, there was no garage. There was no. And within the first year, I put on a 2-stall garage. And in order to make it, my focus was to make it blend in with the house and set it back in the front and made it match the back of the house where everything was correct. That did not give me enough room inside that garage. I've always had a truck for work reasons, and that did not give me the option of bringing my truck in. My wife has always had her vehicle inside. My truck does not fit because of the space, and it really didn't matter. Like I said, I've been here for 35 years, and none of my trucks have ever seen the indoor. But now it's time for me to have it indoors. And yes, I do have 2 stalls.
I'm not sure. Is it legal to construct a driveway within the setback?
Yeah, I think the driveways are,
Yes.
Okay.
I think the driveways are not an issue. I am a little concerned about the eave that was mentioned in the
Yeah.
letter. So apparently we're supposed to factor in the eave, I think.
So right now, it would actually be 4 feet into the setback.
If you were kind of 1-foot eave.
Yeah.
Yeah, assuming a 1-foot eave. So, Mr. Kennedy, what we're discussing right now is the reference in the denial letter from the code officer, which he calls, the person calls out the fact that they did not see any detail on the eave, which is your roof overhang. And from that, we can infer that eave needs to be factored into your setback requirement because it's a part of the permanent structure. So I don't know if you had that discussion with them, but our concern would be for you anyways, is that if in fact your foundation goes 3 foot in and we were to approve the 3-foot encroachment, but then your eave goes another foot further, you'd either have to change your plans or you would have to come back and ask for another foot. So that's why we're bringing that up right now. Did you have any kind of discussion like that yet with the code office here in Litchfield?
No, Mr. Chairman, that was not brought up. I brought up, I gave him the certified plan that I got and submitted for him to give me the denial. As far as the eve overhang, just so we get it straight, we're talking about a side setback to the south of my property. The overhang would be, for argument's sake, let's call it a foot. It's going to be towards the east. It's not an issue. I'm not getting any closer to the front setback. The side is going to be where the foundation is. It's just going to be the siding, a rake board. There's no eave moving that 3-foot dimension further south.
So your roof line is going to match even though it's going to be set back a little bit, your roof is going to be the same. It's not going to go, I don't know how to describe it, but your roof is going to go front to.
Yeah, the eaves.
Yeah, it's going to match exactly. It's going to match exactly what I submitted some pictures, Chairman, and that roof line is going to be the same as the roof line on the existing garage and the existing house. And if there's an overhang on the front by a foot, it's going to be on the front, and it doesn't affect the setback on that south side of my property.
Okay. And this is a single stall garage, correct?
Correct.
And if I'm interpreting the plans correctly that you submitted, it looks like the furthest corner encroaches 17 or encroaches 3 feet in, but on the back corner, if you want to call it the back corner, you're actually only coming in 2 feet. So there's kind of an angle going on here, right?
That's correct, Chairman.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I saw that right. Any other questions for the applicant?
Of all of the abutters that responded, we didn't get any feedback from them yet. Do you have any record of abutter information? We do have one abutter here today.
You also have one on the phone.
Oh, perfect. We'll get to that next. Thank you very much for speaking up. Appreciate it.
I believe.
Yep.
Hey, Chairman, just to let you know, in my original letter, I said that I had been in touch, that I have 6 abutters. Obviously, the town knows because it's the town. But as far as the other abutters, the one abutter that I put in my letter that I was not able to contact, I have since spoken to, and that's across the street. I have spoken to him, so I have been in verbal contact with all the listed abutters. And I know of nothing right now.
I'm just looking at our tax map, trying to find out exactly where you are in the tax map. Well, this is a busy one here. Oh, that's fine. Right across, oh, Chase Brook.
Bixie Brook.
Yes,
Yeah, there is Chase Brook. It's right there.
right down here, yeah. It's right down here, I think.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay. All right, any questions before I open it up to the public? All right, so stay with us, Mr. Kennedy. At this point, what I'd like to do is open the meeting up to the public, and what I will do is just ask if there are any members of the public who wish to speak either in favor or opposed. We'll need you to just state your name and your address and then go ahead and make your statement. So are there any members of the public who would like to speak? If you can hold off on the phone, I know I've got somebody live right here. So,
Sure.
Yes, sir. It's Roy Oria. I live at 52 Pilgrim Drive in Litchfield. I am a direct neighbor of John and Beverly Kennedy. My family and I moved here 20 years ago. They were already living here. Their property is impeccable, always kept up perfectly. They're some of the greatest neighbors I've ever had. And I fully support what they're trying to do. John had showed me the drawings in the beginning, and I had no problem with it at all. I thought it was an addition to the neighborhood, and I think it would look great. And because now his health has changed, I think this would be a great thing for him to have.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that input. Much appreciated. And thank you for coming out too this evening. Are there any other additional members of the public who would like to speak either in favor or opposed? If you are, please state your name and your address. Go ahead. On the phone.
On the phone? Okay.
Yep,
Christine
please.
Hartwell, 48 Pilgrim Drive. We're the direct abutters to the addition on the south side of the proposed one-stall garage, and we fully support it. Kevin and I have been in Litchfield for 25 years, along with our other neighbor. The property is meticulous. We fully support it. As we all grow older here, we all need accommodations, and we would really appreciate an approval for John to make it a lot easier for him. The land between us, there's at least 20 feet of wood line in there where the garage would be. We wouldn't even see the garage, and the plans have been reviewed by my husband and myself. John has brought them over to us, and aesthetically, it would be an asset to the neighborhood. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Making me want to move into your neighborhood.
Oh, I honestly,
You gotta
we have
pass the test.
it really is great people.
That's cool. That's really good.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear it.
Yep.
Okay, so I have to ask, are there any other members of the public who wish to speak either in favor or opposed to the application this evening? I know we have none here in the room. Looks like we have no more on the call. So hearing no further public here, I think, I guess I don't want to close public input. Just let me make sure. Are we all set with Mr. Kennedy? We're all set?
Yeah.
Mr. Kennedy, once I close public input, what'll happen is the board here will deliberate in public. We will make a decision either in favor of your request or opposed to your request. Once I close public input, we're really not supposed to take any more testimony from you. So before I close public input, I want to make sure you're given every opportunity to present anything further that you might want to say to the board. I'm not saying you haven't said enough. I'm just making sure you get every opportunity to express, anything else you want to put out.
Yeah, I have one question.
Oh, we do have one more question.
I have one question.
Okay.
Mr. Kennedy, your new single-car garage, will you cut a hole through the side of your house to put a door from the existing garage into the new garage?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Is that good?
yep, all right.
There is,
All right.
just to add one more thing. I don't want anybody to think that the garage that you think that I could park in that I can't. That also has that right as a snow blower in there that my wife uses, and we have a portable generator. But also there's 5 years ago now, I got an electric golf cart that's parked in there, and that's how I get things done around my that's my access to my property to get yard stuff, and that's a necessity for me. So that does tie up that other stall that I can't park in, but yes, there will be access to to that garage.
Thank you.
It's good. I would hope so. Okay.
I think that was a good reflection.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. All right, so I think if we're all done with questions and answers, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to close public input. Do I have a second? All right, so I have a second from John. All those in favor to close public input, say aye. Aye. All right, so at this point, we're going to deliberate, guys. On variance number one, criteria number one, variance will not be contrary to public interest because essentially, I think what he's saying here is that he's spoken with the abutters. He's got unanimous support there. This is a single car garage, going 3 foot in. For me, he's made his case sufficiently to pass criteria number one.
Agreed.
Number two, spirit of the ordinance is observed because, again, he's saying here, the area of the proposed garage is currently used as a parking space for a vehicle. The landscape and wooded buffer area to the lot line will not be altered.
There's a natural barrier or buffer with the properties as they play together. So the spirit isn't being violated because they're not removing that natural buffer. It's just a slight encroachment into the 20-foot buffer, but the natural buffer still remains. So I think that makes it, in my opinion, okay.
Yeah, I agree. And I also, single car garage, it's pretty rare to see somebody come and ask for a single car garage. And I understand he's got a 2-bay garage sitting next to it, but we're here to debate a single car garage and it seems pretty reasonable.
Yep.
A request from that perspective.
And he's, in my mind, I was thinking, well, is he still gonna go outside, open the garage door to go in? And, he's gonna go through the house where it's part of his safety and stuff, so, yeah.
Which goes right into number three, substantial justice is done because proposed garage will be constructed in the manner in which it attaches and blends with the existing dwelling. And to your point, it provides him some additional safety and comfort. So, I think there's a need there. And it seems like the benefit to the applicant, the harm to the public is not greater than the benefit to the applicant, which is really what we're trying to weigh here, right?
Yep.
Value of surrounding properties are not diminished because the addition of the garage will add value to the property, which passes on to the abutters. We've dealt with this a lot. We've actually had many real estate, agents and stuff provide testimony. So our experience, I think, collectively is that these type of additions do generally increase the value of a home, not decrease the value of a home, and therefore it shouldn't have a negative effect on the surrounding properties. Some people would argue whether it has a positive or not, but most people, I think, generally agree that it would have a negative, not have a negative. And here I would agree with it as well. Literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship because construction of the garage does not go against the general purpose of the ordinance, and the proposed use is a reasonable location of the dwelling on lot, along with septic location, do not allow for an alternative location. You saw the driveway coming up that side already, going through an existing garage, he's adding to it.
There's already a parking spot right there.
Yeah, and it's already used as a parking spot.
Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah, and the 3-foot encroachment, does that create any issues? It doesn't appear to create any safety issues or he's far enough back from the road. So really the only encroachment is that 3 foot on the side, nothing else.
Which is 3 foot in the front, 2 foot in the rear.
Yeah, exactly. It gets better. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's,
good point. So it sounds to me like we've pretty much come to a decision here. So at this point, anybody want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to grant the 3-foot side setback, 3-foot buffer, as the side 20-foot buffer setback.
So I have a motion to approve the application to allow the construction of a garage as shown on the plan, which will, attached garage, which will encroach 3 foot into the 20-foot setback, resulting in a net 17-foot setback.
I will second that.
So I have a seconded from Al. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? So the motion carries 3-0. So, Mr. Kennedy, your application has been approved by the zoning board. What has to happen now is you've got to wait a minimum of 30 days in case anybody wants to challenge our decision. So you need to let that 30-day lapse before you start any of the construction. It sounds like you've got some more work you got to do with the building department anyways. So I think that's where you're going to go next. What I will do, what the board does after these hearings is we will type up our decision, which is a summary of what we've been discussing here tonight. That decision letter will get sent out. And I'm trying to, I'll probably have to mail it to you because I don't think I have your email, which is fine. I'll just put it in an envelope and send it to you. But I also send an electronic copy to the building department, town manager, planning board. So all the appropriate boards will also be notified of our decision here. So when you do go to the building department, they should already be aware that we voted this evening to approve your request. You have any questions for us?
No, I don't. Thank you very much, board members. I appreciate your cooperation. And
No,
again,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. It sounds like you got a really nice group of neighbors that you live over there with. So you're lucky. And I think all of your neighbors are lucky as well. It's nice to have a neighborhood like that where everybody gets along.
It is. It's a very nice neighborhood.
All right.
Thank
So
you very much.
we're all set with you, Mr. Kennedy. If you want to drop, I don't think there's anything further we need. We're just going to wrap up our business here and then we'll conclude the meeting.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. All right, guys. So I really did not have anything else on the agenda this evening. At least anything that we need to discuss in a public forum. I wouldn't mind catching up on a personal level. So,
The motion to adjourn.
all right. I have a motion to adjourn, seconded by Al. All those in favor say aye. Aye. So this concludes the zoning board meeting for tonight.
So we need to round it. Some more people.
Hang on 1 second. 1 second. Don't go anywhere.
Who's that, John?
So John Brunel, maybe Greg.
I just asked John. I don't know if Greg will come back or not.
Out of retirement.
Yeah.
I think John used to chair the board.
Selectmen should have that.
Because we get a lot coming.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think John, you might have been on here for a little while before you became a selectman. I think John was on this board.
I do remember that.
Yeah,
Back when I was selectman.
yeah.
Matter of fact,
Oh, that's right.
Laura made a comment to me yesterday in voting when he said, "Yeah, I think I'd rather become a selectman first."
Is that what Laura wants to do?
No, that's what I said.
Oh.
I said, "Nah, I think I'd rather be a selectman first."